Hi, welcome to the second algebra tutorial. Today's tutorial is titled Factorization. In today's lesson, we are going to be going through basic factorization techniques as well as some more advanced techniques and multiplication of expressions. All of this work is grade 10 work, so I'm hoping that you are going to move through today's tutorial fairly quickly. In terms of what you need to know, you need to be very familiar with your grade 10 work as well as the first algebra tutorial, which dealt with basic algebra. Factorization is a technique used to break up an expression into its factors. For example, 6 is equals to 2 times 3. Hence, 2 and 3 are both factors of 6. Saying 6 is equals to 2 times 3 is factorization, which is the opposite of saying 2 times 3 is equals to 6, which is multiplication. Multiplication and factorization go in the opposite direction to each other. Breaking x squared into factors could yield x times x. Now think about this one. 2x times by 4x plus 1 would equal 8x squared plus 2x. That is if we multiply it. If we've got 8x squared plus 2x and we move in the opposite direction, we could get as an answer 2x times by 4x plus 1. That is also a form of factorization that is called removing a common factor. This is a common technique when we have variables involved. If I have x plus 1 times x plus 6, it would give me, if I multiplied it out, x squared plus 7x plus 6. Hence, if I have x squared plus 7x plus 6, and I go in the opposite direction as multiplication, i.e. I factorize it, I could get as an answer x plus 1 times by x plus 6. If you are not familiar with the multiplication seen on screen, continue watching. Alternatively, fast forward onto the play screen. The way I did that previous multiplication was I used a technique called FOIL. FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. We use this whenever we have a binomial multiplied by a binomial. A binomial just means it's two terms. Bi meaning two, nomial terms. Alright, let us use an example. Let's say we have x plus 2 multiplied by x minus 3. That's going to give us x squared. That's first, outer minus 3x, inner plus 2x, last minus 6. That's going to give us x squared minus x minus 6. FOIL is a pretty easy technique, isn't it? All you've got to do is do first, outer, inner, last. That will give you 4 terms. You then combine your like terms, and that gives you usually 3 terms. I want you to have a go at the following exercise, and the working out of the exercise is included in the DVD workbook. I am now going to go through a few examples of factorization. The first one I gave you to do read x squared plus 4x minus 32, and I wanted you to factorize this. The way we're going to do that is we are going to look at our 32 and we are going to break it down into its factors that added together or subtracted will give us positive 4. Because there's a 1 here, the factors of x squared are just going to be x multiplied by x. What are the factors of 32? 1 times 32, 2 times 16, 4 times 8, and then 8 times 4, which is the same as 4 times 8. What we are looking for is which combination of these. It has to be a set, either 2 and 16 or 1 and 32 or 4 and 8. Which set of these are going to give us positive 4? Remember that we've got to get to negative 32, which means that one bracket is a positive and one bracket is a negative. The factors of 32, the pair of factors rather of 32 that will give us positive 4 are going to be 4 and 8. Positive 8, negative 4 will give us positive 4, and positive 8 multiplied by negative 4 will give us negative 32. So the factors of this will be x plus 8 and x minus 4. The next one I gave you to do read y squared minus 3y plus 2. Again, there's a 1 in front of the y. That means that its two factors are just y and y. Factors of 2, it can only be 1 and 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Because it's a positive, it means that either both brackets are positive or both brackets are negative. Because that is a negative, it means that both brackets will have to be negative. Does this give us negative 3, negative 2, negative 1? Added together will give us negative 3. And that's that one factorized. The third one I gave you to do was a remarkably easy one. A squared plus 6a. Now this one you don't need to break it into two brackets. Always remember we are doing a thing called factorization. So taking out a common factor would be useful. If I take out a common factor of a, which goes into both of these, a goes into a squared a amount of times, a into 6a goes 6 times. And that is a squared plus 6a factorized. The fourth one read 6x plus 9 plus x squared. This is an easy one to do. All we do first is start by rearranging it. Make that x squared plus 6x plus 9. Remember, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. It doesn't matter in which order we write it. The only reason I wrote it in this order, rearranged the order, was so that I could factorize it. Factors of 9 are 1 and 9, 3 and 3, and there are no other factors. Which pair of these are going to give us positive 6? This one over here, plus 3, which will give us plus 6. Because it's positive 9, both brackets are going to be positive or negative, but because that's positive, both will be positive. X in each bracket, x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 3. We can take it one step further and turn this into x plus 3 squared. The fifth one I gave you to do read y squared plus 18 minus 9y. Again, I'm going to change the order around to get y squared minus 9y plus 18. Factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, and that's as many factors as we have. Can any of these added together or subtracted give us negative 9? What about 6 and 3? Negative 6, negative 3 will give us negative 9. Negative 6 multiplied by negative 3 will give us positive 18. That means that our two brackets will read y minus 3, y minus 6. The next one I gave you to do, number 6, read 2x squared plus 24x minus 56. Now in this one here, we can factorize this as is, but it will be a lot easier if I took out a common factor of 2 to give us x squared plus 12x minus 28. That's going to equal 2 multiplied by, now factorize this. Factors of 28 are 1 times 28, 2 times 14, 4 times 7. Notice 2 and 14 will give us can give us positive 12, 14 minus 2. Plus 14 times minus 2, does that give us negative 28? Yes, it does. So this is going to be x plus 14, x minus 2 to give us that. The seventh one I gave you to do, read a squared minus b squared. This is an easy one. This is called difference of two squares. Notice that both of them have a squared, and there's a difference in between, a negative sign in between. This will become a plus b multiplied by a minus b. Number 8, read minus 3x squared plus 24x plus 60. Again, take out a common factor. I'm going to take out a common factor of negative 3. Not only 3 goes into all of them, but doesn't a negative 3 also go in? That will make my x squared, the constant in front of my x squared, it will make it positive 1. So that will be x squared minus 8x minus 20. Now the reason those became negatives is because I took out a negative 3. If I multiply this back in, it will become negative 3x squared. Negative times negative is positive. 3 times 8 is 24x plus 60. Remember, the negative 3 is still outside the bracket. We don't remove it unless it's equal to 0. This will factorize to form x minus 10 x plus 2. Minus 10 times plus 2 gives us negative 20. Minus 10x plus 2x will be negative 8x. And obviously x times x is x squared. All of the examples we have used thus far have had a 1 in front of the x squared. Now think about this one. 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. How do I break that down into its factors? I know that it's going to equal 2x plus 5 multiplied by x plus 3. How did I get to that? Let us have a look. Looking at this one here, 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. We want to factorize this. There is a problem with it because we've got a number in front of the x squared. Not only do we have a number in front of the x squared, but we can't take it out as a common factor. 2 doesn't go into 11 and it doesn't go into 15. What we are now going to do is we are going to look at the factors of 2 and the factors of 15 that together will give us positive 11. The factors of 2 are just 1 and 2. The factors of 15 are 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. If I use the 1 and 2 in combination with the 1 and 15, can I get to positive 11? 15 times 2 is 30, 1 times 1 is 1, 30 minus 1 will give us 29, 30 plus 1 is going to give us 31, so that's not going to work. What if I use 15 times 1 and 2 times 1? 15 times 1 is 15, 2 times 1 is 2, 15 minus 2 gets us close, gets us to 13, except it's going to be negative 15, but that's not the answer. We are looking for positive 11x. So these two can't be used in combination. That means that we are going to have to use these two. 3 times 1 is 3, 5 times 2 is 10, 10 plus 3 is going to take us to 13, so that won't work. What about 3 times 1 and 5 times 2? Sorry, the other way around. What about 3 times 2 and 5 times 1? 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 1 is 5, 6 plus 5 is 11. So we need to get the 2 and the 3 together and the 1 and the 5 together. When we write out our factors, one bracket is going to have a 2x, the other bracket just an x, the 2 and the 1, 2 and the 1. 2 has to be combined with the 3. If I put the 3 here, the 3 is combined with the 1, so that's not going to work. If I put the 3 here, it will be combined when I multiply it out by the 2. So that will be plus 3 times 2x, which is plus 6x. The other combination is the 1 and the 5. So that will be plus 6x plus 5x will give us plus 11x. Positive 5 multiplied by positive 3 is positive 15. Remember, these are all about combinations. There is an alternate way, alternate method to factorizing sums of the form 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. Leave the 2x squared as is. Let's look at this 11x. Let's break it up into two numbers that make up 11. The first number has to be a factor of 2, or has to be something that 2 can be taken out of. Basically, that just means it needs to be an even number. So that could be 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10. So that's going to be our first number. The second number that makes up 11x must be a number that has a common factor with the last term. With the last term, what could have a common factor with 15? Well, it has to be either a multiple of 3 or a multiple of 5. So these two could make up the second term. One of these two. 3 plus 8 will give us 11. Or 5 plus 6. So we could say 3 plus 3x plus 8x, or we could say 5x plus 6x. I'm going to start by trying out this 8x plus 3x plus 15. That plus 15 is just the end number, it's still there. Remember, these two added together have to give you positive 11. Either you could do it this way, 8x plus 3x, or you could say 5x plus 6x, 6x plus 5x. Now, from this first one, take out a common factor of 2x. That will leave us with x plus 4. Plus, take out a common factor of 3. That will leave us with x plus 5. The problem with this is these two are not common factors, so we can't take this any further. So the 8x and 3x wouldn't work. What if I turn this into a 6x and I turn that into a 5x? 6x plus 5x gives us 11x. Let's have a go at this one here. This will become 2x squared. Sorry, not 2x squared. 2x squared and 6x, I can take a common factor of 2x out. 2x into 2x squared goes x times, plus 3. 2x into 6x goes 3 times, plus 5x plus 3. Look here, x plus 3 is a common factor. So let's take it out as a common factor. We then left with 2x plus 5. And that is that expression factorized. You can use either this method or the method that I was using before. Either way, as long as you are able to factorize it, that's fine. Have a go at the following examples. Press pause on your DVD player, and when you return, we'll go through it together. The first one I gave you to do read 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. What I can do with this one here, let us look again. The factors of 2 are only going to be 2 and 1. Well, 1x. What are the factors of 12 in combination with the factors of 2 that are going to give me negative 5? 1 times 12, we can see immediately that that's not going to work. 2 times 6 might work. 6 times 2 is 12. 2 times 1 is 2. 12 and 2 not going to give us negative 5. 3 and 4. I'm hoping it's 3 and 4, otherwise I'm running out of factors of 12. 4 and 2 give us 8. 3 and 1 give us 3. 8 and 3, can it give us negative 5? Yes, it can. Negative 8 plus 3 gives us negative 5. So I need to get to negative 8 using the 3 and 4. If I put my 4 over here, it's going to be in conjunction with the 2, so that will be negative 8x plus 3x, which will give us negative 5x, and plus 3 times minus 4 will give us minus 12. The second one read 3x squared minus 9x plus 6. This one I threw in just for fun. Take out a common factor of 3, that leaves you with x squared minus 3x plus 2. That gives you 3 multiplied by x minus 2, x minus 1. Always look at your questions carefully. Even though this is the section that deals with factorizing something with a variable in front of the x squared, so what? I did ask you to factorize these. If you can take out a common factor, take it out and make your lives easy. It was only for number 2 that worked out though. The third one I gave you to do read 4x squared minus 33x minus 70. This is a nasty one. It did look very nasty. The factors of 4 are 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. Easy enough. Now let's look at the factors of 70. 1 times 70, 2 times 35, 3 doesn't go, 4 doesn't go, 5 times by 14, 7 times by 10, and then it starts to reverse the order again. Now you don't need to go through each of these. By now you should be familiar enough with it to be able to identify more or less which factors look right. Remember, we're trying to get to negative 33x. 35 and 2 and 2 and 2, could that work? That will give us 70, that will give us 4, that will never give us negative 33. 35 and the 2 multiplied by the 1 and the 4, that might work. 35 and 1, 35 multiplied by 1 is 35, 2 times 4 is 8, 35 and 38 can't give us negative 33. Let's have a look at this last lot of factors, the 7 and the 10. What if I use this in combination with the 2 and the 2? 10 times 2 is 20, 7 times 2 is 14. That's going to give us either 34 or 6, so that's not going to work. But what if I used it in connection with the 1 and the 4? 4 times 10 is 40. 1 times 7 is 7. 40 minus 7 is 33. Negative 40 plus 7 is negative 33. So that would work. I need to get the 10 with the 4. So if I put my 4x over here, I'm going to put my 10 at the end. I'm trying to get to negative 40x plus 7x will give us negative 33x plus 7 multiplied by negative 10 is negative 70. An example like this is a difficult one to factorize. You will see in the next tutorial how we can use other things such as the quadratic formula and completing the square to solve for that. The last one I gave you to do was fairly easy. 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. 2 has only got the factors 1 and 2. 5 has only got the factors 5 and 1, or 1 and 5. Can they give us a combination of negative 9? 5 times 2 is 10, 1 times 1 is 1, negative 10 plus 1 is negative 9. I need to get the 5 near the 2, so I'm going to put it at the end there. That will give us negative 10x plus 1x, which will be negative 9x. In the examples we have done thus far, we have simplified the expression. What we are going to look at now is solving an equation. In the previous examples, all we did was simplify it by factorization, or by taking out a common factor, which is also a form of factorization, but we could not solve for the variable. In the next few examples, we are going to look at how we can actually solve for a variable. This can only be done if it is in equation form, i.e., if there is an equals to sign somewhere in it. The first example I'm going to use is x squared plus 3x plus 2 is equals to 0. This, if I factorize it, is going to become x plus 2 times by x plus 1 is equals to 0. Remember that equals to 0 stays there, it doesn't disappear. Now we know from basic level maths that anything times by 0 is equals to 0. That means that either x plus 2 is equals to 0 or x plus 1 is equals to 0. That means that x is either equals to negative 2 or x is equals to negative 1. Let us look at this next example. X squared minus 14 is equals to 5x. This one looks a bit tricky because there is no zeros. First thing I want you to do with these type of questions, because there's an x squared in it, I want you to take everything across to one side. That's the variables and the constants. That is going to become x squared minus 5x minus 14 is equals to 0. X squared minus 5x minus 14 is going to factorize to become x minus 7 times by x plus 2, and that still equals to 0. That means that either x is equals to 7 or x is equals to negative 2. Now there is one other technique, or shortcut rather, that I want you to become familiar with for factorization. Let us use the example x squared minus 9 is equals to 0. What we'll do here is, let's imagine we slot in a middle term. So that will become x squared minus 0x minus 9 is equals to 0. Have we changed anything? No. We've only added, or rather subtracted, a 0 term. 0 added to or subtracted from anything doesn't change that original term. Now factorize that. That will become x plus 3 times by x minus 3. This is called difference of two squares. The law of difference of two squares states that a squared minus b squared is equals to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. And that brings us to the end of the second algebra tutorial. I hope you all had fun. As always, I have left an exercise for you to do in the workbook. Please go through that before progressing on to the next tutorial.